to have you guys. I know, I did so good making it all the way up here by myself. Normally, we use this nice side door, but there is a main stage production going on, and I choose life, so I'm not gonna try and navigate that in the dark. It's not gonna happen today. This is our 4th show. Congratulations on your perfect attendance. If you have it, give it up. Yeah. If you're new, you have never seen a show like this before. There are a lot of storytellers with a lot of stuff to say, and some of them are you. And I bet you didn't know this, but it's time for a competition. Who here, you'll have to tell me audibly because I cannot see your hands, who here thinks they have the shortest, scariest story? Nothing scares you, you're all fearless. Yes.
Do you want me to tell it right now?
I mean, yes. Of course. That's what we do here.
And then the underwire found its way through the fabric.
Oh, that was scary.
Half of you got that.
I still got it.
All of you bra wearers and Brad got it. Good. Does anyone else have a short, scary story?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I sharded myself on the way to meet my thesis advisor.
Oh, that's based on a true story, isn't it?
Oh no.
That's based on a true story, isn't it? He won't say. It might be. These things do happen. But those are short, scary stories. You're going to hear at least one longer, scary story tonight. And you're also going to hear some spoken word and some highs and some lows. So I am so grateful that you're here to be a part of this. Maybe while you're out Halloweening this weekend, you'll tell one of these scary stories, just as a quick one. It's a good opener. Definitely not a main piece though. I would not encourage it once you're 4 or 5 or 6 stories deep. it'll dip, it'll dip. But that's enough of me and enough of some short scary stories. Who's ready for a first performance?
Hey!
I should probably tell you, because I realize this is a shy bunch, you can clap, you can laugh, you can cry, you can't heckle because I'll come find you, but you can participate. I know that I have said now 3 times that I can't see you, but I know you're there, and I, in the least hippy-dippy way possible, can feel that you're there. So engage and enjoy, all right? Here you go. Jeremiah Mickey spent time on stage between choirs, comedy groups, theater performances, during school in Indianapolis and at IU. Nowadays, he works as a geologist in Indianapolis and co-manages his own company, At Perception Group LLC, doing data analysis and making websites. He still loves the stage, and he's here to tell some of his stories. Give it up for Jeremiah.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you doing?
Eh.
So, thank you for that introduction, Amanda. As she said, I'm going to tell a few stories about me, different qualities that I have. I'm smart. I'm also really dumb, and things like that. But I think it's really rude to have a one-sided conversation, and I want to hear from you guys first. And I love all of you equally, except Amanda, who is my favorite. But all of you are competing for second place. Yeah. So we're gonna do this. I'm gonna ask you how your day was, and you're going to tell me. But we have a limited amount of time, or I have a limited amount of time. So I want you all to tell me at once. Sound good?
Yeah.
I got at least 2 people. I got 3.
Yeah.
All right. Ready? Hi, honey. How was your day?
It was
Awesome.
Hey.
hungover.
Kind of weird.
Okay. Do anything exciting today at work?
Not particularly.
Made some spreadsheets.
Oh, you got some spreadsheets. Awesome. We got not particularly very much. Okay, cool. Thanks. So now I'm going to talk about myself for 20 minutes and be very rude. So I'm pretty smart. When I went through high school, I got basically really, really good grades. I had a class of about 900 people or so up in Indianapolis, and I was always in like the top 15. And then when I went went to college, I came here to IU Bloomington, and I did a geology degree. So I actually work in what I did my degree, which is amazing. And when I finished my degree, I actually did get really cool stuff. I ended up on the dean's list. I ended up getting a 3.6 something average out of 4. And then I went ahead and I did a master's degree, and I got a 4.0 in my master's, which was pretty cool. And then after that, I started my own company with a few friends that I met. We've made some cool websites. I work as a geologist now at the Indiana Department of Environmental Management, so the brain up here is doing some really good work. I'm also really dumb. So way back when, let's start at the origin of how SmartMe got supplanted by dummy sometimes. And so I was in Scouts when I was younger, and one of the camps we went to was Camp Randsburg, which is down by Lake Monroe. Anyone here heard of Camp Randsburg? People involved with Scouts? Yeah. We got a clap and we got a no. Thank you for honesty. So there's a wood carving merit badge that you could do there. The merit badges, for those unfamiliar, are basically like small classes you get, and then you get a little sewn badge that you can stick on your sash, and it's fun. So I did wood carving, and they gave us basically 2 instructions. Don't cut towards yourself, and ask if you need help. And then they gave us a block of wood that we were supposed to carve our initials out in relief, and they gave us a chisel, and they gave us a big old leather glove. And so the very first thing I did was I cut toward myself, and I still had the scar actually, where it just went right through the leather glove. And me being that dumb, I stood up, I said, ow! And I yanked the glove off, and just blood just all over the table. And bless his heart, the counselor who, like, for those of you who don't know, the counselors who work at Boy Scout camps, like, they're just other scouts generally. They're all like under 18, most are somewhere around 16, 17. I was like 12 at the time, and so he just looks over and sees the blood, and I remember exactly how he went. He just, go to the first aid tent, which luckily was right next door. So I went to the first aid tent and ended up looking like I was carrying a baseball around for the rest of the week, because they just had to wrap it up in so much gauze. And I'm still really dumb, actually. Last week, so a couple weeks ago actually, I got some sort of sinus infection. It wasn't COVID. I got tested 4 times. It definitely wasn't COVID. And I ended up, like, the cough stuck around for a while, so I went to a med check. They gave me an x-ray. They said, you don't have pneumonia, you're not dying, but it might be bronchitis. So here's a pill. And they gave me this little pill just for coughing, take 3 times a day, that type of thing. And it looked like a boba. So it was like little round, and you could clearly see it had liquid inside. It was orange, so it looked like it should taste good. And so me, being really smart and really dumb, I took one and I bit it. And as you could probably understand, something that's not supposed to be eaten and you're not supposed to taste it didn't actually taste very good. So I immediately grabbed some water and I flushed it down, and I was like, okay, it doesn't matter. All of it was going to get down there anyway. We're good. And then my tongue and my lips got numb. And so I picked up the bottle, and SmartMe took over the reins at this point, and Dummy sat in the back. And I turned it, and it said, do not chew the pills. So that was cool. Strike one. And so SmartMe's like, okay, make sure you're not going to die. So I Googled what happens if you chew a certain name of pill. There were 2 results, one from 2017, one from 2019, both of which had an answer from a self-professed medical professional. Both of the questions were exactly what I did, but they were phrased like, hypothetically, if you chew this pill, are you okay? And both of the answers on both of the questions on 2 different websites were like, first off, don't do that. Strike one again. And then it said, if you do, do not eat or drink anything to help it go down
8 minutes.
because it might numb your esophagus and you could choke. Strike 2. So I bought my grandma's house a while ago. I live with my grandma. She used to, like, she went through school to be a nurse. So I go talk to my grandma and I'm like, hey. So I don't feel like I'm choking, which is a great way to get someone's attention. And I ended up being fine. I'm here. But, so that's just to assure you all, I'm still really dumb sometimes. Another thing about me, I wanted to sort of format this just to give you guys, now that we're 5 minutes into my talk, I wanted to tell you about how I intend to do this. I want to give you some highs and some lows. I'm smart, I'm dumb. I hate. There's a really old story back in my history. When I was a kid, I have an older sister who's a doll. I don't hate her. Well, I did when I was younger, but we're cool now, like most siblings. So both of my parents worked. There was a lady in our neighborhood who babysat us in the mornings before we went off on the bus, and then in the afternoons when we came back. This woman had no business babysitting. When we would come back in the afternoon, for instance, like I went there when I was in kindergarten and first grade. Kindergarten in my school was half day. I was in the morning, came back, she gave us lunch, which was generally some sort of pasta. And then she immediately put us all to bed for an hour while she watched soap operas. Which is a great way to make obese kids. One morning, the reason I hate this woman, still to this day, I still remember her name. I'm not going to tell you because it's not right. So for breakfast, she would give us food if we hadn't had food in the morning. This morning was cereal. I got Cocoa Puffs. I don't even think I'd really had Cocoa Puffs before then, but apparently my stomach was not feeling well. So I was sitting at the table eating my Cocoa Puffs and I threw up. I was 6. It happens. This woman looks at the bowl and looks at me and says, keep eating. And so I did. And I threw up again. Rinse and repeat. I still remember the taste of that. Not long after, my sister, who was a bit older than me, about 2.5 years older, she actually told our parents what happened. I don't know what happened behind the scenes. We didn't go back to her. So that was the first of the horror stories. The second horror story is how I'm sad. After I graduated from IU, I started seeing a girl in my junior year, yeah. And then after I graduated, she was still here, so I would come down and visit over weekends and such. One weekend, I came down on a Friday, spent the night, everything was fine. That morning, the Saturday morning after that, I got a text from back home saying my brother-in-law had been in a traffic accident. And he'd been hit. He was in a truck, they were in a truck also, they hit him. He got banged really hard on the door. So they took him to see a doctor, said he was bruised up. They were gonna keep an eye on him, but he should be fine. That afternoon, I get a phone call from my dad. And the first thing he says is, "Are you sitting down?" The second thing he does is sigh after I say yes. And the third thing he said is, "Your uncle just committed suicide." And I'm sure you can see the line of thought that I had going into that, knowing what had happened earlier in the day. And that still sticks with me. I remember the cadence that my dad gave, how he said that. And I'm never going to forget that. But on the plus side, I also love. You want to hear a fun story now?
Yes.
You want to hear about my first kiss?
Yes.
First, actually, like 30 kisses. They were not romantic in the least. They were theater. When I was in high school, my senior year, I took a drama class. They had a couple of professors come from various universities looking to give out full ride scholarships. One of my friends actually got offered one because of these little performances we did. Basically, we each got paired up with one or two people, and our drama instructor had some plays that we could pick from, or if we had a good one, we could offer it. So my partner was much more into theater than I was. Geologist. It's fun. It's not what I wanted to do with my life. So I got paired up with this girl who I was like acquaintances with. It was fun. I forget the name of the play, but we did a scene from it. Basically, you have these two like dorky, kind of repressed kids. The girl's like a tomboy. The guy's like a friend, madly in love with this girl. She also has it bad for him. Neither of them are admitting it. That type of fun thing. So in that play, there's a kiss, or actually there are like 15 kisses. This is all over the course of like 4 minutes, mind you, so it's fun. So I, as the dorky boy, was to give a kiss, or was to kiss this girl. And basically, like, the way the scene goes is I turn to her, I turn her by the shoulders, and I lay one on her. So as we were practicing this, I had never kissed anyone before. And so I asked her, like, do you want to do a stage kiss or do you want to do a real kiss? And she's like, oh, we can do a real kiss, it's fine. And this was just because she genuinely didn't care. She had a boyfriend. That's irrelevant. So we go out into like a foyer of the Arts Center where the class is, and as we're about to do the scene, it's just the two of us and a friend, and who was like going to critique us from the class. And then this whole class of like, I remember now exactly who it was. It was one of the upper Latin classes where basically they just got to screw around and do whatever the hell they wanted because we had that kind of Latin teacher. So they just came down to the theater, or to the Performing Arts Center for class that day, and were practicing Latin, saw us about to perform, and so they all sit down. So I'm in the audience to my first kiss. So we get to the scene. I remembered my lines. I turn her, and I kissed her square on the nose. She made that exact laugh. And so we all picked it back up and go throughout the rest of that scene, and when we'd actually perform it, we have an audience, friends and family. Later on, after I perfected the art of kissing, there's a stripping scene in it where, of course, we didn't strip all the way down, but to put a long story short, basically we both put on like 9 shirts and a couple pairs of pants. And the very last thing I took off was my belt, which I took off and I winged into the audience, and it landed right on her boyfriend and her dad. Amazing. So, as you can tell, I'm really popular in the love department. So that's just a bit about me. These are stories that I keep close to me. I'm happy. I'm not happy all the time. I don't think anyone's happy all the time. I don't think you should be, because then that dopamine hit just kind of becomes nothing. But I'm content. The thing I'm most content with is my friends. When I'm with the people I really care about, I feel like the best version of me. And I really look forward to going forward with that attitude and that viewpoint and that outlook on my life. And it's going to be a great time. So thanks for listening to this.
Thank you so much. Keep it going for Jeremy.